Hello and welcome back to our final regular episode of Gentoo.
Already?
Yep, we've got one special after this, but it's curtains for us.
But what am I gonna do with myself?
Don't you have a life outside of this?
No, I live here.
Well, make this new segment really good and you might just stick around for next season.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
What?
Shh, just get it, don't be scared.
Do you like adventure? What about monsters and magic? What about unmitigated violence against your enemies with a side of pixelated booty? Then come check out The Edge of Allegoria. Based on the old 90s handheld gaming consoles with that old nostalgia of the original Pokemon games. And don't get too attached to your gear and skills, as there are over 80 skills and 150 pieces of equipment to collect. Dig deep into conversation to unravel the Gordian knot of a storyline as you sift through the madness to find your way. Take on over 144 different monsters, including 21 different bosses. Check out The Edge of Allegoria when it releases on December 4th for PC.
From the creators of Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, jump into Skydance's newest creation, Behemoth. Take on the role of Ren, a lone hunter banished to the Forsaken Lands. Use lifelike physics, a weighty VR combat system, to traverse the Forsaken Lands, navigating traps, deadly marauders, and slaying behemoths. Explore the decaying remnants of a dying kingdom. Check out Behemoth when it releases on December 5th for all VR systems.
And now on to our titular tech news.
X, formerly known as Twitter, has finally gotten some serious competition.
An app called Blue Sky, which was founded by Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey all the way back in late 2021, shortly after Elon Musk took over.
Even though Blue Sky was founded in 2021, it didn't actually become available to the public until late 2023.
And recently, Blue Sky has surged in popularity, hitting a record 15 million active users.
While 15 million is a commendable number, they still have a lot of work to do to catch up to X, which currently has an estimated 368 million active users.
This surge in popularity for Blue Sky has come after the US presidential election, as reports of racism, disinformation, and bots have skyrocketed on X.
There has also been an exodus from X due to its newest terms of service, stating all cases against X can only be brought to a court in the Northern District of Texas, most notably the circuit of Tesla stock-owning Judge Reed O'Connor.
Time will tell if Blue Sky will continue its rise as a social media platform, or if it will plateau like many others before it.
But that's all the time we have this week for Gentoo. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to not miss any of our future episodes.
Let's cruise into another episode of Corby's Content Corner.
A good day for a swell battle. Welcome back to Corby's Content Corner, the show where I talk about games I'm passionate about. Last episode we talked about the extremely popular horror game Resident Evil 4, but today, if you couldn't tell already, we're gonna change it up. Why don't we talk about an old school side-scroller boss fighting shooter game? That's right, today we're talking about Cuphead. A great slam and then some. Cuphead was created by MDHR Studios and released on September 29th of 2017. This game has you follow two signature figures, Cuphead and Mugman, as they try to get themselves out of their debt with the big bad man downstairs. Well, that's right, I'm talking about the devil.
Okay, I promise I won't do the voice the entire video. I lied.
Now, Cuphead is known for many things. The incredible hand-drawn art style, the amazing big band performed soundtrack, and especially the difficult boss battles. Since Cuphead and Mugman got tangled up with the devil, they have to deliver his soul contracts, which means fighting all sorts of different dangerous and colorful characters all across Inkwell. This game is all about trial and error until you can finally take down your foes, which is not as easy as it sounds. Every boss is equipped with all sorts of different abilities and unexpected transformations for you to adapt to. Lucky for you, there are a couple of run and gun levels that help bring up that wealth, so you can get some new firepower from good old Pork Rinds Emporium. You must take down well over 20 bosses all across Inkwell to finally absolve your debt, and who knows, maybe even take down the big bad man himself. Although Cuphead was made with a remarkably small team of game devs, it still was met with a booming success. Since its launch in 2017, it won not 1, not 2, but 3 Game Awards for Best Independent Game, Indie Debut, and Art Direction. Now that is very impressive. And after this, they later got greenlit for an animated TV show in 2022. And most recently, they released a whole new DLC aisle to the main game, giving the community all sorts of new, wacky bosses to take down. Cuphead is one heck of an underdog story. To see such a small indie studio create such a successful game has to be inspiring to small game devs. This game is personally one of my favorites ever made. I even learned how to speedrun it. But perhaps that's a story for another time. That's all, folks.
Dude, I just finished playing Red Dead Redemption 1. Love it. I love John Marston.
You love John Marston?
Yeah.
Well, if you want more of John Marston, just check out Red Dead 2.
Wait, he's in Red Dead 2?
Yeah, along with Arthur. It's pretty cool.
Dude, but he died in the first one. Oh, that was a spoiler, wasn't it?
Dude, I've been playing him canonically. I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. Let's just get to storylines.
Welcome back to Storylines, the show where I talk about how one character within the game isn't just a faceless, non-playable character or NPC, but an important story device to the world and player. Let's dive into the final storyline of this NPC in Red Dead Redemption 2. The story follows Arthur Morgan struggling with morality and loyalty as he tries to survive in a dying age of the West and cowboys. Today I will talk about the NPC and protagonist of the first game, John Marston. In Red Dead 2, John has many complexities to his character. Being torn between his outlaw life and wanting to have a better future for his family, he strives to better himself. Arthur plays a main role in his development as he feels way more connected to him. He even does all he can to make sure John can survive and get out of the outlaw life they live, resulting in a close brotherhood between the two. Starting out, John is stubborn and cold, still stuck in the outlaw mentality and distant from his own family. This attitude carries on through a bit of the game until Arthur talks a little bit of sense into him, saying he can't be two people and should just be one person.
Just do one thing or another, not be two people at once, that's all I'm saying. It ain't that simple.
You see, Arthur really cares for John as he really wants him to be something better. It's why Arthur is primarily always going after John, or why he's the only one to join him in certain missions. Struggling with his loyalty to the gang and the want to live a happy life with his family, John begins to understand the crumbling situation in the gang. One moment that really shows this is that when John realizes the frailty of the gang when he confronts Dutch about being left at a bank that they tried to rob. This is a defining moment for John, with Arthur urging him to break free and get out of this bad life, further solidifying this moment.
You gotta go. Go. Don't look back.
The climax of the story is when things get really good. With Arthur being a mentor to John, the finale really establishes the bond they share. In a last act of brotherhood, Arthur stays behind so John may live with his family. He urges John again and again in a desperate need for John to leave the gang behind and live his life free from them all, something John is impacted by heavily as it feels like a debt he can never repay to his brother.
It would mean a lot to me. Please. Arthur, go to your family. Arthur! Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man.
To me, John really sells the idea of a perfect NPC, from being someone struggling with two different lives to fully leaving his past and becoming the family man he always wanted to be. What else adds on to John's character is that he is the protagonist of the first game, so seeing his interactions in Red Dead 2 really means something even more when you played Red Dead 1. I felt more connected to him due to all the scenes between him and Arthur, mainly because of how close the two are, showing that even though they are different in design, they are still brothers to the very end.
You're my brother. I know.
And that brings this final storyline to a close. Next week, I will be making the final video with it being a highlight of the NPCs I have covered. Until then, I am your host Logan Hill, signing off.
Here at Tower Yearbook, we are a dedicated staff of photographers, designers, copywriters, and practicum students.
Our staff is a student-led, student-run media outlet, producing a book with over 300 pages. Be sure to pop out at any of our portrait or distribution events.
So stay tuned to our social media to see what's up.
Creative Services has been lurking in the shadows of student media, giving insight into the hard work behind every mass media student's contribution. We are creating national award-winning commercials promoting KNWT. We animate, navigate, and collaborate to display all of the unseen corners of our media outlets. Our mission is dedicated to showing off KNWT and our great work like never before.
You know, Evan, one day I expect you to die.
I expect you to die, too.
Wait, say that again.
I expect you to die, too?
Put on these glasses, and you'll enter the world of the game.
Hello everybody, and welcome to my reality. As always, my name is Aaron, and you're watching Aaron's Reality, one of the many shows within a show right here on KNWT TV. Now it's time to break out the old school of mass media wallet and buy a brand spanking new... Oh, there's no more in the budget? It was put towards equipment, it's actually important. And since I always talk about sequels and better games, I should cover at least one of them. Alrighty then. It's as good a time as any to bust out a sequel I've been dying to play. I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar. As the name implies, this action puzzle game is the second installment in the Wonderful Spy series. In case you haven't seen it already, go ahead and watch my coverage of the first game on Season 12, Episode 5 of Gentoo. You're brought back as the agent working for the agency, equipped with your trusty telekinesis chip, attempting to solve various puzzles in an escape room fashion. Since you were canonically considered dead after the events of the first game, your return has caused the villains to dub you the nickname of Agent Phoenix. In the first game, each mission was unrelated to the rest, and you could play them in any order. In the sequel, there is now an overarching plot of an actor named John Juniper who is working for the series' main villain, Dr. Zor. The missions this time around have you foiling an assassination of world leaders, surviving a booby-trapped plane, infiltrating a villain's secret base, impersonating a butler during a house party, escaping Juniper's death traps, and finally, preventing worldwide devastation by having Agent Phoenix sacrifice himself. However, the body is never recovered, implying that the agent lives. Consistent with the first game, there are many little unnecessary but interesting things to interact with. Some levels even allow you to progress in different ways, so you don't have to follow a pre-planned path. They even flesh out the lore with world relations differing from real life. Although I would say that some of the puzzles are a bit harder to solve, they aren't as long as the sequel. In fact, they encourage speedrunning, typically expecting levels to be less than a couple minutes each. Level of detail gets a 7.5 out of 10. Since the puzzles are a bit harder, you die more, in more frustrating ways. This is countered by the inclusion of an interesting overarching plot. It makes the expected twist of a John Juniper impersonating your handler feel even cooler. Immersion will be a 7 out of 10. You sit down and don't move. I've said it before, but that's the best thing for VR games. So I'll keep this short and go ahead and give the motion sickness a 10 out of 10. The aesthetics this time around are just as good. The opening intro is just as iconic, with the main villain being the one to perform the song. Oh yeah, did I mention that John Juniper is voiced by the nerd legend Will Wheaton? I'd equate the vibes of this game to the first, but when you have Wesley Crusher as your main villain, you get bonus points. So the vibes are a 9.5 out of 10. Reaching an overall of 8.5 out of 10, which is the exact same score that I gave to the first entry. Although there are certainly some really cool additions to the game, there are a few bits where it felt like it was lacking, so everything evened out. You can play I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar for yourself on Steam VR, PSVR, and Oculus Quest. Well, that's all for this video, and even though I Expect You to Die 2, I'll see you in the next video.
Evan, did you see that I actually bought a tank last week?
Where did you get a tank?
Dude, don't ask questions, okay? It's cool, right?
Don't ask. I mean, yeah.
Do you want to get into
It's really snazzy. Yeah. Does it shoot too?
Yeah, it does.
Can we,
Yeah.
like, take it for a
What would a
spin?
tank be for if it didn't shoot things out?
That is
Yeah,
true.
come on now.
Well, yeah. Better not to ask
Here,
questions.
before we do that, we need to watch Tayden's pack, so let's watch it, okay?
All right.
Hello, I'm Tayden Hensley and welcome back to Forgotten Games. Let's dive into the world of arcade games, as there are so many to play, like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Tank Battalion. Speaking of Tank Battalion, what if there was a cooler version of it, where not only can you take down other tanks, but team up with them and take down monsters? The arcade game that I'm talking about is none other than Tank Tank Tank. Tank 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 was released back in 2009 and is a third-person shooter arcade game developed and published by Bandai Namco Games. The game is about you piloting a tank and using a variety of weapons to destroy giant monsters or take down other tanks. The game starts off with taking a selfie through the camera in the arcade machine that is used to identify other tanks of your family or friends who you might be playing with. There are a few game modes that you can play. You have mission mode, where you will work together with 3 other tanks and take down as many enemies in a given amount of time, then face a boss. Team up, where it'll be 2-on-2, where they'll work together and try to take down the other team as many times as you can before there's no time left. Then, my personal favorite, free for all, where it's every tank for themselves, where you will try to take down your opponents, and whoever takes down the most tanks will win. As I said earlier, Tank 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 offers a variety of weapons. Weapons in this game are used like power-ups, as during a battle you can pick them up and do major damage to your opponents for a short period of time. If you see one, you better pick it up before someone else gets it. Weapons that you have the option of are the plasma bolt, missiles, a machine gun, and the mega beam. Those are just the good weapons, but there are times where you can get a squirt gun that does absolutely nothing. Overall, Tank 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 was a great arcade game as it received good reviews from critics. This game used to be at my local Dave & Buster's, as my brother and I would play this game all the time. But sadly, they got rid of it for reasons I still don't know why, because this was a fun arcade game, and when you're sitting in that seat, every shot that you take made you feel like you were actually inside of a tank, with the seats rumbling and everything. It really felt like I was at war. A few years later, Tank 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 will be ported to the Wii U as a launch title with a full-on story mode. But it doesn't hit the same like being inside an arcade, and plus, nobody plays the Wii U anymore. I haven't seen any other Tank 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 arcade machines anywhere else, which sucks. I don't even remember what arcade machine replaced it at my local Dave & Buster's. So, in conclusion, I blame Dave & Buster's for making this game forgotten. Their food isn't even that good anyway. I'm starting to go on a rant. It is not that serious. Next time on Forgotten Games, we'll be looking at the highlights of all of the previous games that I have covered. But anyways, that's all the time I got. I'm Tayden Hensley, and this has been Forgotten Games.
Okay, I know last week we had a little bit of problems, so this week we made sure we bought it together. We got everything like that.
Yep.
Okay, so do you have your plane ticket to fly there?
Yeah, I got our tickets here for Michigan, right? Yeah, got it.
Why would you go to Michigan?
What do you mean, why would I go to Michigan?
We're going to Penn State.
Who would want to watch Penn State?
You bought Penn State tickets.
Yeah, I bought Penn State tickets. Okay, well, I booked Michigan tickets, okay? So we're going to go watch Michigan.
How does this keep happening?
We're really bad coordinators.
Let's just watch the pack. I can't.
Hello everyone, my name's Kendall and welcome to another episode of Saturday to Sunday. A quick look at the rankings where we've jumped back into the number 2 spot, and a quick peek at the projected playoff bracket where we're predicted to be the 2nd seed. This week, we're going on the road to take on the 17th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. This is going to be another must-win game to ensure we make the Big Ten Championship and secure a top 4 seeding in the college football playoffs. After a Penn State turnover on their side of the field, we were able to start our first drive on their 15-yard line and quickly get it inside their 5. After 3 plays to get us to their 1-yard line, we decided to go for it on 4th and goal. With some good blocking from our offensive line, we were able to punch it in to go up 7-0. Penn State was able to get on the board early in the second quarter. We were able to march down the field and get in the red zone with the clock ticking, approaching halftime. Here, I put my middle receiver in the bunch to the right on a drag across the field. He was able to get open and get in for 6 to put us up 14-7 before the half. After a very quick Penn State 3-and-out, we get the ball back and move it down to their 20. We knew we could settle for a field goal here with such short time on the clock, but we wanted to take one more shot at the end zone. My tight end ran a corner route to the back corner of the end zone. I threw what I thought was an incomplete pass, but fortunately he kept 1 foot in bounds and we were able to add to our lead. Penn State was able to cut the deficit to 7 in the third quarter while we could hardly move the ball. After a big stop by our defense, we took over and were trying to run the clock out. I hand the ball off to my running back, and just before he gets into the end zone, he fumbles. Thankfully, one of our offensive linemen was able to hop on the ball as we put the final nail in the coffin. A road win against a ranked opponent at this time of the season is huge with the playoffs approaching. We were able to beat Penn State 28-21 to move to 10-1 on the season. Checking back in on the rankings, we reclaim our spot as the number 1 team in the country. Looking at the playoff bracket, we also claimed the number 1 seed and have almost earned a first round bye. Back at home to round out the remainder of the regular season, we play host to the Michigan State Spartans, who come in today holding a 6-5 record. We need to win here to ensure we keep both our rank and playoff seeding and a spot in the Big Ten Conference Championship. After struggling offensively, only being able to put up 3 points in the first quarter, we come out of the 2-minute warning finding ourselves on Michigan State's 1-yard line on 3rd and goal. Thankfully, with some good blocking, we're able to punch it in to extend our lead to 10 before halftime. Up 10-0, approaching the end of the third, we knew we wanted to extend the lead so they weren't able to hang around any longer. My receiver split out left was running a slant. After some scrambling, I was able to find him wide open across the middle of the field to go up 17-0. The Spartans were finally able to get on the board in the fourth quarter, but we know that no lead is big enough. The closest receiver to my left runs a corner route towards the back corner of the end zone. I'm able to float the ball over the defender's head to give us the 24-7 lead. We were able to score once again on a pick 6, and Michigan State was able to get in the end zone again with no time on the clock. We're able to handle the Spartans and take them down 31-13. We finished the regular season with an 11-1 overall record and a 7-1 conference record. I hope to see you all next week for the season finale as we start postseason play.
Are you sick and tired of not knowing enough about life's trickiest questions and need answers now? Well, introducing Now You Know, your place to learn everything about anything with our host, the studious Alexander Snodderly.
You can count on me.
And if you call now, we'll even include our co-host, Katie Bird, as she talks one-on-one with viewers like you. Thanks, Katie Bird. Catch us Wednesdays at noon on KNWT TV.
Now you know!
Dude, have you watched the Mario movie?
Like the one that just came out?
The 1993 one, no.
Oh, the
Live
old
action.
one? No, I have not.
Dude, you're missing out. You know what they have?
What do they got? What do
They got Goombas.
Oh.
Yoshi.
Oh my God. Oh.
And I said the best for last. And Bowser.
Yeah, he just looked kind of normal there.
Dude, yeah, he's got the frosted tips.
Yeah, his toes looking pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it looks a little good, but hey, you know, it's whatever. But Respawn Cinema was talking about it this week.
Really?
Do you want to watch it?
We gotta check that out.
Hello, my name is Shubba Troxel, and you're watching Respawn Cinema, a show where we dive into video games and their on-screen adaptations. Now, I know Gabe and Evan said that we'd be looking at the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie, but surprise, we're actually looking at the 2023 Super Mario Bros. Movie, where, you know, Mario's not looking for a princess half the movie, trying to save her from a giant turtle. But let's be honest, Bowser is still the king of kidnapping princesses, but this time, it's with a song. So here's the deal. The Super Mario Bros. Movie from 2023 is a full-throttle trip through the Mushroom Kingdom, just like the games. But the thing is, while the movie's got all the right vibes, it's not exactly a by-the-book adaptation. It's more like a remix of your favorite Mario tracks, some familiar tunes, but with a little extra flair. And I mean that in the best way possible. Let's talk visuals first. In the games, the Mushroom Kingdom is a colorful, blocky world full of jumps, power-ups, and plumbers who are shockingly good at breaking bricks with their heads. The 2023 movie does this all justice, but it's got the Pixar level glow-up. The movie doesn't just pull from one game, it pulls from the entire Mario universe. It's like they took every power-up, every Koopa, and every green pipe and said, yeah, we're putting this in the movie, but make it look like the world's largest party of toads threw up a rainbow. And speaking of toads, can we talk about how adorable they are in the movie? Toad is like 30% more lovable and 100% more helpful. In the games, Toad's role is mostly to say, thank you, Mario, but your princess is in another castle, while standing around like he's got better things to do. In the movie, Toad is a full-fledged sidekick. I'm talking full-on fighter guide and moral support. Basically, he's the MVP of the Mushroom Kingdom. Sorry, Mario. But it's not just the Toads who get an upgrade. Mario and Luigi, the dynamic duo, get a little more backstory in the movie. In the games, Mario's whole thing is that he's just a guy who loves to jump, eats mushrooms, and saves Princess Peach because, well, that's his job, I guess. But in the movie, we get to see Mario and Luigi as actual characters with a bit of family drama and the classic underdog vibe we all know and love. The movie takes more time to flesh out their brotherly bond. It's like they said, what if Mario was also relatable and not just someone who jumps on your head and gets a coin? And I love how they balance out the classic Mario elements with a new twist. Like in the games, it's all about hitting blocks, collecting coins, and never questioning the physics of jumping 3 stories high. In the movie though, they give Mario and Luigi more real-world obstacles to deal with, like, you know, figuring out how to survive a Goomba chase while still managing to look good in overalls. And then there's the big question, how closely does the movie follow the games in terms of story? Well, it doesn't. The movie's plot is more of a celebration of the Mario universe rather than a strict adaptation of one particular game. But honestly, I'm okay with that. The games are great, but they don't need to be perfectly replicated in a movie to be loved. So to wrap things up, the 2023 Super Mario Bros. Movie is like the perfect Mario level mashup. It takes everything that we love about the games, some familiar, some new, and adds a ton of heart and humor. It's not a one-to-one replication of the game, but it's the movie that families and new generation of gamers needed. And plus, they gave us Bowser singing a love ballad, so what more could you ask for? This has been Shelby Troxel, Gentoo, signing off.
All right, Gabe, Gabe, I know my water powers last time weren't too great, but I've been practicing.
Okay.
You know, I got solids down, so it's not just water. I can do ice now too.
Okay, you want to test that?
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it.
Let's do it.
It's like,
this is a thin layer at the bottom.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
but
turn
can't
into
you see
water
like,
in like 2
can't
seconds.
you see the frost building up on the side too?
I guess.
It's really cool, right?
No.
You don't. What do you even know?
Let's just
man?
watch a real Ice Powers person, okay?
Yes, sir.
냉기 한번 느껴볼래?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Descendant 101. If there are any of you watching that are Sub-Zero mains, you're going to enjoy today's Descendant. She's the Song of Ice to Lepic's Fire, a master of the cold and absolute zero. This episode, we're looking at the cold-blooded hunter, Viasa. Viasa is one of the best all-around characters in the game, as well as one of the most interchangeable of the roster due to how many Transcendent ability mods she has to choose from. She's got a lot. A little too many for me to choose from, actually. But I'll do what I can with the time I got. So let's go ahead and unwrap those abilities, shall we? Her first of her standard abilities is called Frost Shards. It's a simple, giant ice spike that Viasa will throw forward that explodes and can either freeze or apply cold shackle to enemies, which slows them down. Her second is a fun one called Frost Road. Upon activation, for a short amount of time, Viasa will freeze her legs, giving her increased speed, increasing her shield hit points, and she'll leave behind a trail of ice on the ground that will slow enemies that touch it. It's not quite as fast as Bunny, though. Her third ability is called Cold Snap. kind of like her first ability, it's a pretty simple attack. But instead of an ice spike that travels forward, Viesa will throw a cold of front air up from the ground in front of her that does heavy damage and can bypass enemy shields. It's also got a pretty quick cooldown, along with the ice spike, so you could kind of just spam these two abilities. Her fourth standard ability is called Blizzard. Viesa will throw a small orb that releases an increasingly damaging snowstorm that freezes enemies caught inside and explodes once the ability ends. And her passive is called Ice Sphere. You've probably noticed these 3 small orbs that are following her. Once you freeze an enemy, Viesa will have 3 small orbs that follow her and will auto-seek out any enemy that gets too close to her and will shoot itself into the enemy, exploding in ice. But here is where Viesa really shines, her Transcendent mods. She has so many of these mods that are really good, but I'll briefly go over the few that I almost always use with her. Cold-Bloodedness removes the ability Frost Road and swaps it out for an ability that buffs all of Viesa's other abilities' effectiveness by reducing the cooldown, increasing the power, and decreasing the ability cost. Glacial Cloud makes her Blizzard way bigger. And Cold Cohesion, which gives her 6 spheres instead of 3. Viesa has a lot of free reign to build her however you want compared to other Descendants. She's really solid at pretty much any in-game activity, and she's one of the first 3 Descendants you get to choose from upon starting the game for the first time, so she's really easy to get. Not sure why it took me so long to start using her myself. That's all I have for you this time, but we still have 1 episode left of this season, so tune in next week so you don't miss it. This has been Zach on Gentoo, signing off.
Thank you for watching this episode of Gentoo. If you liked it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to not miss any future episodes.
Make sure to tune in next week where we're going over all our highlights of the season.